Good evening. You are live on Sports Today with me, Rajarshi Gupta, just about 1 hour away from toss between India and Pakistan at the T20 World Cup. This game in Dubai, right? This is a high-profile game. We all know that. These arch rivals, India and Pakistan, taking on each other. Of course, the game starts at 7:30. The toss at 7 o'clock. Plenty of hype around this game, as usual, around these two countries. It's been a traditional rivalry, right? But if you look back at World Cups, Pakistan are yet to win a game against India. Of course, they had won the 2017 Champions Trophy final, but that was 4 years ago. You look back at the 2019 World Cup, India won by a major margin. You look back at the T20 World Cups, right from 2007, of course, starting with that historic bowl out where the scores were tied and India won via a bowl out, and they won that cliffhanger of a final at Johannesburg all those years ago, 14 years ago. But after that, India have maintained their perfect record against Pakistan 2012, 2014, 2016. Of course, Virat Kohli has played a vital part in a lot of those victories, ranging back from 2012, 2014, 2016, when was the last time that India played Pakistan at home at the Eden Gardens. And now they're taking on each other in Dubai. This mega clash. This is, of course, the first game for both India and Pakistan in this T20 World Cup. They've played a couple of warm-up games. India, in fact, looked very strong in those warm-up games against against England as well. They looked really strong and against Australia. This Indian team, has seemed to find it. They have found the balance. What Pakistan? Always unpredictable. They're not as strong. They're not as dominant as they used to be in the 1990s. We all know that. There have been some last-minute additions, and probably it was reflective of some sort of chaos and confusion in the Pakistani lineup. But the Indians seem pretty sorted. I have with me two guests on Sports Today. Akshay, of course, he's been around on Sports Today shows before. You're meeting sort of for the first time as well. So this is where we are going to talk about this famed rivalry, right? Atul Azail is saying we will win. Of course, this is a lot of Indian fans will be backing this team to win because of the sheer difference in Akshay. There's some background noise. If you can just there's some background noise in the background. But this is fascinating, Akshay. Before I come to Saurabh, because of India's record, it's a 5-0. Right? 2007, India beat the goal out in the first game. 2012, 2014, 2016. Virat Kohli has played a crucial role. This is also Virat Kohli's last T20 tournament as India captain. He's going to step down as India's T20 captain after the World Cup. A lot at stake. There is, players say that there is not much pressure. We're looking at that as any other game. But on the outside, there's a lot of noise. And this is the noise that we've been covering as well on India Today. Not in, haven't we? Okay, take it away.
Yeah, I've been hearing that there is a mad rush for tickets in Dubai, and security officials are finding it a little difficult to control the crowd, and they're advising people who don't have tickets to just go away. You can understand that this is happening. India and Pakistan are meeting after a 2-year gap, and interestingly, this is going to be Virat Kohli's last tournament as India's T20I captain, but this is going to be his first tournament as a captain in a T20 World Cup. So that is an interesting thing. So he has been a fine leader in the shorter formats, but when it comes to ICC tournaments, the things haven't gone his way. Like Shoaib Akhtar said at Salam Cricket, luck hasn't been favoring our captain. But at the end of the day, this is a very big contest for him to start his journey as a captain in T20 World Cup against Pakistan. He'll be charged up. He has said that he treats it as just another match. But
Yeah.
I think there will be butterflies. I think there will be butterflies given India's good record. And one more thing, Kohli has a very good batting record against Pakistan. He has never been dismissed by Pakistan in T20 World Cups. So I think all the
Absolutely.
focus will be on Kohli, and it should rightly be on Kohli. And I think India have the edge over Pakistan in this contest today in Dubai.
Right. This is sort of this is a lot of hype around this game, and yes, it is. Is it any other game though? Because like I said, the players keep talking about this. The players keep talking about how this is any other game, and of course, it is not just like you win this game against Pakistan and you're assured of a World Cup victory. No, you still have to take on the likes of New Zealand, and if you go forward, you can come against England, and we saw how dominant they were against the defending champions, West Indies, two-time T20 champions. We saw how dominant they have been. We saw how dominant Australia were against South Africa. Of course, it was a close game, but Australia really stifled up the South African batting lineup there. But if you leave the context of the tournament aside, this in itself is this there's this there's this pressure. ये often कहा जाता है कि यार ये गेम से भी बढ़ के है. ये गेम से बढ़ के क्यों है सौरभ? As a journalist, as a fan, ये गेम से भी बढ़ के क्यों है?
हाँ, इंडिया एंड पाकिस्तान, ये जो टू नेशन थ्योरी है, जो इंडिया पाकिस्तान की राइवलरी है, ये काफी पुरानी है. और जिस तरीके से इंडियन टीम ने आईसीसी टूर्नामेंट्स में पाकिस्तान के ऊपर अपनी बढ़त बनाई है, 5-0 की बढ़त है अभी तक. और ओवरऑल भी अगर आप T20 मैचेस में देखें तो पाकिस्तान ने सिर्फ एक बार इंडिया को हराया है, वो 2012 में. इंडिया के पास वो टीम है और हमेशा से हमने उस तरह का खेल दिखाया है कि पाकिस्तान को हमने हराया है. और एनी केस इंडिया वर्सेस पाकिस्तान, चाहे वो क्रिकेट मैच हो, चाहे वो हॉकी मैच हो, इंटरनेशनल सीरीज हो, जिस तरह की पॉलिटिकल टेंशन हम दो कंट्रीज के बीच रहती है, किसी भी फैन के लिए, जर्नलिस्ट के लिए, प्लेयर के लिए, क्रिकेट प्लेयर के लिए, हॉकी प्लेयर के लिए, सबके लिए ये प्रेशर वाला सिचुएशन रहता है, हाई प्रेशर सिचुएशन. जैसा कि मोहम्मद अजहरुद्दीन ने बताया था सलाम क्रिकेट में अभी कुछ दिन पहले कि 1999 में जब इंडियन टीम ने पाकिस्तान को हराया तो बीसीसीआई के ऑफिशियल्स ने ड्रेसिंग रूम में जाके उनको बोला कि अब तो पाकिस्तान को हरा दिया है, अब तुम वर्ल्ड कप हारे हो जाओ तो कोई बात नहीं, हमने पाकिस्तान से मैच जीत लिया है. तो इसीलिए इंडिया वर्सेस पाकिस्तान इज द मदर ऑफ ऑल क्लैश, सबसे बड़ा मुकाबला है.
नहीं, सबसे बड़ा मुकाबला है भी. एंड वी आफ्टर every time Pakistan have lost to India in World Cups, there are stories next day of television sets being broken in Pakistan. Then there was this fan which went, his video went viral, if you guys remember, after that 2019 World Cup. The next day we were delighted to cover that because there was some different color, and he was very sporting, in fact, the Pakistani fan. He said his sense of humor. He was covered widely. He accused the players of eating burgers and pizzas before a game like that. That is the anticipation of this game. That is the emotion that rides behind this game. But okay, we'll come back. We'll come back to the emotions. We'll come back to the sentiments. Obviously, emotions are at a cliff's edge on both sides of the border, India as well as Pakistan, because we know of the traditional rivalry. And every time you go back to 1996 as well, which turned out to be Javed Miandad's last game. Of course, there was a fantastic performance from Ajay Jadeja down the order. Navjot Singh Sidhu had set the tone that the Indian bowlers were brilliant. Venkatesh Prasad, Ambit Sohail, that rivalry. You come back to 1999, sort of, which you were mentioning, Azharuddin's captaincy again, where Sachin Tendulkar played a crucial knock. Then you had, of course, Venkatesh Prasad's spell as well. 2003, we all remember what Tendulkar and Sehwag did to demolish that Pakistani new ball attack. It was a great bowling attack. Waqar, Wasim, Shoaib Akhtar, Abdul Razak. It was a fantastic bowling lineup as well. Then you go back to 2011, where India beat Pakistan in that semi-final. So there's plenty of rivalry. 2015, again, a lot of people thought Pakistan had that edge, could not do it. 2019, India was just too dominant again. Again, we've spoken about the T20 World Cup as well. This is the T20 World Cup game. Akshay, is this a matter of great concern for Pakistan? If you look at it now as a neutral journalist, if you look at the way Pakistan have gone about their business, does this pressure somehow tell more on the Pakistani players than the Indians, probably, who are probably more attuned to handling such situations? Is this something that the Pakistanis feel? Is the kind
Yes,
of
I think.
Pakistan feel more?
Yeah, I think there's no doubt that Pakistan have been feeling the pressure for so long, and it's not going to be any different in this T20 World Cup match also, because since 2003, you remember that Sachin Tendulkar six of Akhtar. That was the first time I started watching an India-Pakistan match live on television, and from then on I can't remember a time where Pakistan dominated India in T20 World Cups, let alone in World Cup matches. So the pressure, I think Pakistan are getting bogged down by the pressure to beat India. There is huge build-up on both sides of the border. But I think the pressure is more on Pakistan because of their record. They haven't been able to beat India in the World Cup, and it's a huge record to overturn. And keep in mind, Virat Kohli is leading India for the first time in a T20 World Cup match, but Babar Azam is going to lead Pakistan for the first time in a major tournament, and he took over as captain only last year, and he's a huge star there. If not as big as Kohli, but Babar Azam is a rising star. And for the first time in many years, that Pakistan are being led by a batting star. So there is going to be pressure on Babar Azam as well. But again, like Virat Kohli, Babar Azam has also played down the pressure and the hype surrounding the match. But he has been a little outspoken, as in the sense that he said that he's confident that we will beat India and get into the tournament in a big way. But I think, to answer your question in a single point, I think the pressure of not having won against India has always bogged Pakistan down in major tournaments.
But sort of ये भी तो है ना, because you look at India, yes, of course, over the years when you look back at Pakistan, you look back at their players, it seems that there is this only one mission to win the World Cup. It seems like you beat India and then that's it. The World Cup campaign is taken care of. But India have over the last several years, at least over the last decade, they have been the front runners, right? They have been the favorites at most ICC events, and here as well. While there is talk of India-Pakistan, the rivalry, but they know, and Virat Kohli knows, Rohit Sharma knows, MS Dhoni as mentor, Ravi Shastri knows that their ultimate goal is to lift that World Cup on the 15th of November. They want to lift that trophy. And that is why their focus is probably a little sharper than Pakistan, especially over the last decade where we have been covering sports.
बिल्कुल इंडिया पाकिस्तान मैच का हाइप तो है, लेकिन जैसा कि आपने बोला, विराट कोहली का लास्ट T20 वर्ल्ड कप एज अ कैप्टन, MS धोनी को मेंटर की तौर पर नियुक्त किया बीसीसीआई ने, क्योंकि ऑब्वियसली इंडिया का मेन एम है एक आईसीसी टूर्नामेंट जीतना. हमने लास्ट टूर्नामेंट 2013 में जीता था. उसके बाद विराट कोहली की टीम पूरे टूर्नामेंट में अच्छा गेम खेलती है, बस वो 15 मिनट्स का खराब उनका जो प्ले होता है उस बड़े नॉकआउट मैचेस में, वहां हम हार जाते हैं. चाहे आप 2019 वर्ल्ड कप ले लें सेमीफाइनल, या फिर आईसीसी टेस्ट चैंपियनशिप जो अभी इस साल हुआ था जून में. ऑब्वियसली इंडियन टीम, जो विराट कोहली की जो टीम है, जो MS धोनी की टीम है, अब MS धोनी मेंटर हैं, रवि शास्त्री की टीम है, हमारे जो प्लेयर्स हैं, जिस तरह का फॉर्म हमने पिछले 2 वार्म मैच में दिखाया है, हमने ऑस्ट्रेलिया को हराया, हमने इंग्लैंड को हराया, और जिस तरह का बेंच स्ट्रेंथ है हमारे पास, हर एक प्लेयर फॉर्म में है. और उससे बड़ी बात यह है कि हमारे सारे प्लेयर्स ने अभी 1 महीने तक यूएई में, अबू धाबी, दुबई और शारजाह में आईपीएल पूरा खेला है. उनके पास वो एक्सपीरियंस है और पिचेस को, वो कंडीशन को भी अच्छी तरह समझते हैं. तो ऑब्वियसली इंडिया वर्सेस पाकिस्तान मैच उनके लिए एक सिंपल सा मैच है, जिसको जीत के वो टूर्नामेंट में अपनी अच्छी शुरुआत करना चाहेंगे, ताकि आगे जाके जब बड़े मुकाबले उनके सामने आए, बड़ी टीमें आए, नॉकआउट मैचेस आए, तो इस बार वो 15 मिनट का वो खराब खेल की वजह से वो मैच ना हारे. वो इस बार विराट कोहली जब वो इंडियन T20 कैप्टनसी जब वो छोड़े, तो आईसीसी टूर्नामेंट जीत कर छोड़े.
नहीं, जीत के छोड़े. That is what Virat Kohli would want. This is what the Indian team would want. This is what we would all want, right? To see that trophy come home. But of course, we come to the India players. We'll come to the possible combination, because Surya Kumar Yadav got back in some kind of form in that last warm-up game. Rohit Sharma looked pretty good too. Then there is Rishabh Pant, who's looked good throughout for a while now. Ishan Kishan is flourishing. We don't know, but because apparently Ishan Kishan has been told that he is being played as an opener. Obviously, the first choice will be Rohit and Rahul, Virat as number 3, and probably you'll see either Pant or Surya Kumar. So we'll come to that combination. But Akshay, for Pakistan, Babar Azam, Rizwan, Fakhar Zaman, the top 3 is really, really solid, right? We don't know whether it'll be Mohammad Hafiz. There could be Haider Ali. You're looking at there's Shoaib Malik. There's plenty of experience as well around that playing 11, and of course the Shadab Khan, Imad Wasim. Some of these guys have played against India, but Shaheen Shah Afridi is a bit of an unknown commodity, because we played Afridi 3 years back, and we've never Indian batsmen have never taken on Shaheen Shah Afridi in T20. So this is an unknown commodity from Pakistan as well.
Yeah. For instance, if you look at the 2019 World Cup, again left-arm pacers, Trent Bolt and Neil Wagner troubled India. And if you look at 2017 Champions Trophy, it was Mohammad Amir. And that will, I think, give confidence to Pakistan, because Shaheen, although he's not an experienced bowler, as experienced as Jasprit Bumrah, but Shaheen has the pace and that angle to trouble the Indian batsmen. And you keep in mind that India's top 3, unless and until the team management thinks Ishan Kishan should play this match, India's top 3 are right-handers. And they have been suspect to left-arm bowlers. So Shaheen Shah Afridi will be a very good option at the top for Pakistan, and Pakistan will hope that Shaheen strikes early. But one more bowler who's going to be playing an important role is Imad Wasim. For Pakistan, Imad Wasim opens the bowling, and he's a left-arm bowler, and he bowls in the power play, and he tightens the runs. Like he's a bit like Ravindra Jadeja, doesn't have a lot of variations, but he can fire it in, and he can tighten one end. So if India are looking for a strong start, when you tighten one end, and it provides opportunities for the bowlers from the other end to strike. So I think that partnership between Imad Wasim, Shaheen Shah and Hassan Ali is going to be crucial for Pakistan. And one thing that Pakistan need to do to win this match, or even get closer to win this match, is pick up wickets in the power play. If they let KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma get off to a good start, you've seen what happened to England and Australia. And Pakistan will be hoping that they can avoid that fate. But it all depends on how they operate with the new ball. whenever they get the opportunity, whether they bowl first or they bat first.
No, those will be contributing factors as well, but it'll be interesting to see how Babar Azam and Virat Kohli lead their teams from the front, because the last couple of years, 2.5 years, these two have been the central figures in T20 cricket, in T20 internationals. Babar Azam, Virat Kohli, they've really scored bulk and bulks of runs. But sort of about India, Varun Chakravarti या R Ashwin, किसको हम देखना चाहते हैं? एक तो शायद top 5 या 6, maybe they pick themselves up, but R Ashwin और वरुण चक्रवर्ती में दोनों में से कौन?
जैसा अभी तक जिस तरह का फॉर्म दिखाया वरुण चक्रवर्ती ने अभी आईपीएल में, कोलकाता नाइट राइडर्स जो सेकंड लेग में उनका जो परफॉर्मेंस था जिसकी वजह से वो फाइनल तक पहुंचे, उसमें बहुत बड़ा हाथ था वरुण चक्रवर्ती का और सुनील नारायण का। नारायण तो शायद वो इस बार वेस्ट इंडीज की T20 वर्ल्ड कप टीम में नहीं है, लेकिन वरुण चक्रवर्ती की विकेट टेकिंग एबिलिटीज जो है, उनको इस बात से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि पिच में कितना टर्न है, कितना उछाल है, उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। वरुण चक्रवर्ती के पास वो नेचुरल एबिलिटी है, उनको जैसे वो सारे एक्सपर्ट्स उनको कह रहे हैं होने वाले हैं। अश्विन एक डिफेंसिव बॉलर हो गए हैं आजकल, अगर आप देखें तो अश्विन की टेंडेंसी होगी वो रन रोकने के चक्कर में रहते हैं, उनका वो विकेट टेकिंग एबिलिटी वो शो नहीं हो पा रहा है। अभी आईपीएल में भी आपने देखा होगा दिल्ली कैपिटल की वजह से की तरफ से उन्होंने जो बॉलिंग की, तो वरुण चक्रवर्ती ऑटोमेटिक पिक होंगे आर अश्विन के ऊपर इंडियन टीम के लिए।
Pakistan, बहुत लोग कह रहे हैं, Akshay, a lot of people are saying is Pakistan more nervous, because this is what we were talking about. Apparently, Ramiz Raja, Imran Khan, everybody said, just get them to win. This is what I saw on social media. This is not, I cannot authenticate the news. I do not know. I cannot verify. But this is some couple of tweets that I saw, that there is such pressure. If that is true, can you imagine the kind of pressure? The PCB president and the prime minister just imploring you to win this game. बहुत हो चुका है, ये comments हम बहुत सुन चुके हैं. There's this whole campaign on Mauka as well. So, does that add to the favor, or does that add to the pressure for Pakistan, which they've never won against Indian World Cups?
I think if it depends on how Babar is going to look at it. If he thinks that it's going to add pressure, then they are going to crumble. But if he thinks it's an opportunity, if he thinks it's an opportunity to make it 5-1, then Pakistan should play a different brand of cricket. Against India, if you see in major tournaments, we all sit and discuss for 2 weeks, 2 days, and in the build up and in the lead up to the match, there is a lot of frenzy. But over the last few years, barring the 2017 Champions Trophy, but that was also a one-sided match, there has been no tight match. So from a neutral perspective, all people would want is a tight match, maybe a last over finish, maybe a last ball finish, or a super over for that matter. So I think Pakistan should not look at it as pressure. Pakistan should be looking at it as an opportunity. But in that case, two people who have included, Mohammad Hafiz and Shoaib Malik, they are going to play an important role. Otherwise, the team is full of youngsters. Babar is a young captain. Rizwan has been experienced campaigner, but in the major tournaments, it was Sarfaraz Ahmed who has been wicket keeping for them. So I think the role of Mohammad Hafiz and Shoaib Malik will be a lot bigger than scoring runs and picking wickets. They should form the core of the leadership group along with Babar Azam and try to calm the nerves. Of course, Pakistan will be feeling the nerves, but it depends on how they handle it, whether they see it as pressure or an opportunity to do the unthinkable. That will decide how Pakistan are going to play today.
Yeah, they have a couple of these on-field mentors as well, right? India has a certain MS Dhoni sitting in the dressing room. He's, of course, led India to victory in the 2007 T20 World Cup, 2011 World Cup, and 2013 Champions Trophy, besides, of course, taking them to the number one ranking in the test rankings as well. Sachin Negi saying, my question is whether bowler Hafiz will have an impact in such conditions. Well, he could, because, Dubai, you could see some assistance for the slower bowlers as well. And Hafiz is a wily customer. They call him the professor in Pakistani cricket circles. And there is a reason why, because he's a very, very sharp reader of the game. Now, his strike rate, Shoaib Malik's strike rate, those could be matters of concern. They'd want them to score a little quickly, but there is also the fact that you cannot wouldn't expect a very high scoring game. Probably 155, 160, 165. This could be the type of total targets that the team batting first will be happy to set ahead of. Yes, Akshay, before I go to
on that note, Rajashri, I was looking at what happened between England, the England and West Indies match yesterday. So if a team wins the toss and if the conditions are a little sluggish, how do you think the team should approach batting first? For instance, if KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma go in, what should they do? Should they look at 180, 190, or should they target 150 and then take take as it is. Take
I
as
think
it is.
it'll be in blocks. I think it'll be in blocks. What they want to do is try and get as many runs as possible in the power play while the ball is still new and hot, and then one of them would want to bat through. Because you look at Rohit, you look at KL Rahul, their partnership over the years. KL Rahul has usually playing for India, not for Punjab. That's a different story in the IPL. Playing for India, he's usually gone ballistic earlier. Rohit Sharma is someone, even in T20s, he likes to take his time, maybe 3, 4, 5 balls, and then you see him teeing off after that, in the 10th or 12th balls, after he's faced a dozen balls, he's sussed up the condition. But my feeling is, you're playing in Dubai, you're playing in the United Arab Emirates, now this team, all these players have had a lot of experience around the IPL. My guess is it's the fact that they'll target the power play, they'll try and get as many as possible without losing as few wickets as possible. Because the moment you look at 50 for no loss, 60 for one in the power play, I think you're looking at a total of 150, 155 in these conditions. I think this could be a pretty challenging total to bowl with. But again, this also depends on which team plays spin better. Sort of, this is an interesting point from Akshay, because what will be the strategies? And KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma, we all know how they have approached the power play and how they like to approach the power play as well. What is this thing that could distinguish between India and Pakistan is their ability to play spin, and India's ability to play spin over the Pakistanis tonight could well determine who is smiling at the end of the night around 11 o'clock India time.
Yeah, I just have one more thing to discuss, if you can. So India's number 3 is going to be Virat Kohli, and Pakistan's number 3 is most likely going to be Fakhar Zaman. So they both are contrasting players. How do you think Virat Kohli should approach this innings? As in, he has been playing the anchor role. So should he continue doing that, or should he be a little proactive in the middle overs? Considering that.
It was a story in two parts for Virat Kohli, because you saw him opening for RCB, of course, in the UAE leg of the tournament of the IPL. He started off at a decent enough strike rate, but the strike rate would wane after the power play. Now the point is, what happens when does Virat Kohli come into bat? Obviously, ideally you'd want to see the openers get as many runs as possible. Then Virat Kohli comes at the 8th, 10th over. From there on, his knock is going to be crucial, because you have batsmen, including Virat Kohli, who can tee off without taking too many balls. You have Virat Kohli, maybe batting at number 4. You have Surya Kumar batting at number 5. Then you have the likes of Hardik Pandya, Ravindra Jadeja, and of course Shardul Thakur, if he plays. He's also quite a handful with the bat. Didn't get to do too much for CSK with the bat, but we all know what he's capable of. So Virat Kohli, I feel he's obviously going to take that anchor's role in. He will ensure that there is a steady supply of runs. He'll run those ones and twos very quickly. But yes, I want to see a little bit more proactive approach from the skipper there, because if you have somebody scoring at 130, 135 at the other end, you don't want another end to be lingering between 100 to 110, 115. That could sort of seriously set it off. But taking off from what Akshay said, Saurabh, ये बहुत ज्यादा हाई स्कोरिंग मैच होने की चांसेस हैं तो नहीं. एक विनिंग टॉप के लिए एक मिडलिंग टोटल spinners versus spinners अगर हम compare करें, because like Akshay pointed out, how do they approach the power play, the spinners? My guess is India would want to be as aggressive as possible. So would the Pakistanis. I think they want to take the new ball on as early as possible. Here is the point. Could this match be decided between the two spinners of these two countries? You have Imad Wasim, of course, for Pakistan. You have Varun Chakravarti, Ravindra Jadeja possibly, or R. Ashwin. We don't know whoever plays. Is that going to be a deciding factor, spinners versus spinners for Pakistan and India?
ऑब्वियसली पाकिस्तान के पास जो स्पिनर्स हैं, अगर मोहम्मद हफीज खेलते हैं, मोहम्मद हफीज, शोएब मलिक और इमाद वसीम का इकोनॉमी रेट बहुत अच्छा रहा है अभी पिछले कुछ मैचेस में. मोहम्मद हफीज बहुत अच्छी बॉलिंग करते हैं पावर प्ले में. और इंडिया के पास लेकिन जो स्पिनर्स हैं वो आपको पावर प्ले में बॉलिंग कर सकते हैं, मिडिल ओवर्स में बॉलिंग करके विकेट टेकिंग एबिलिटी उनके पास. लेकिन मेरे हिसाब से मैच जहाँ डिसाइड होगा वो होगा डेथ ओवर बॉलिंग में. अगर आप देखें तो पाकिस्तान ने जो साउथ अफ्रीका के खिलाफ मैच हारा वो 19th ओवर तक लगभग बराबर गया था. लेकिन जो पाकिस्तान के बॉलर हसन अली ने आखिरी ओवर में जो 22 रन उनको सेव करने थे वो सेव नहीं कर पाए. जबकि इंडिया के पास लास्ट डेथ ओवर बॉलिंग के लिए आपके पास भुवनेश्वर कुमार हैं, शमी खेलते हैं तो शमी हैं, बुमराह हैं, ये तीनों हैं. पाकिस्तान के पास पावर प्ले में बॉलिंग करने के इमाद वसीम हैं, और आपके पास शाहीन शाह अफरीदी हैं जो पावर प्ले में अच्छी बॉलिंग करते हैं, विकेट लेते हैं. लेकिन आखिरी के 3-4 ओवर में हमेशा स्ट्रगल करते हैं. और जहां तक बात रही दुबई में एक विनिंग टोटल की, तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जो भी टीम पहले बैटिंग करेगी वो कम से कम 150 तो पोस्ट करना चाहेगी, बिकॉज हो सकता है कि आगे जाकर शाम में रात में ड्यू एक फैक्टर हो जिससे चेज करना आसान हो। तो कोई भी टीम टॉस जीत के कोई भी कैप्टन पहले बॉलिंग करना चाहेगा।
नहीं बिल्कुल, ऑफ कोर्स द स्पिनर्स की भी बात है अक्षय, देयर इज आल्सो द पॉइंट बिकॉज द पावर प्ले हियर बिकम्स एक्सट्रीमली क्रूशियल. You want to take off as many as possible with the ball hard and near and with the field up. In that regard, we have Jasprit Bumrah for India, Shaheen Afridi for Pakistan, express pace. Is the death bowling, looking at the form in the IPL, is the death bowling a concern somewhere? Because Shami later on in the second half, later on he did look a lot better. Bhuvneshwar Kumar gradually improved because initially it was a concern as well. So whoever bowls the 19th and the 20th overs for India, they'll have to be spot on, and the death overs are going to be really, really critical because that is when the teams would look to accelerate again after maybe a few sluggish overs in the middle.
Yeah. I think, like you said, the death overs are going to be crucial. Like Saurabh also discussed, the death overs is going to be crucial. But if you look at the two practice warm-up matches, Bhuvneshwar Kumar leaked a little bit against England. He gave away 54 runs in 4 overs, if I'm not wrong. But he came back well against Australia. His last over was very good against Australia. I think India will back Bhuvneshwar Kumar's experience to bowl at the death. And it'll be also interesting to see how they use Jasprit Bumrah, considering that Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Shami have been a little off form recently. Will they hold a couple of one extra over for Bumrah, giving three overs to Bumrah in the end? Or they also did one thing against Australia. They bowled Varun Chakravarti in the 16th and 18th overs. So if Pakistan haven't seen a lot of Varun Chakravarti, then Varun can be a good option at the death, as in not at the extreme end, but maybe 16 and 18, and then use Bumrah and maybe 1 over of Bhuvneshwar or Shami, depending on who plays. But I think death overs, if India don't fire in the death, then it's going to be a problem for Virat Kohli and his team.
Yeah, no, you'd expect them to fire. In fact, that's also one more thing that I want to talk about before we go. By the way, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, that game is also poised pretty interesting. Bangladesh, of course, batted well enough to get 171 for 4 of the 20 overs. Sri Lanka 102 for 4, and they need 69 and 44 balls now. This is getting pretty interesting in Sri Lanka. I don't know. Maybe check some stats on what happens when Bangladesh beats a former champion in a tournament. This is going to be pretty interesting because Bangladesh defeated Pakistan in the past. Maybe they'll defeat Sri Lanka, the 2014 T20 World Cup champions. Of course, when they defeated India all those years ago. But Saurabh, ये तो एक तरफ से देखा जाए, क्योंकि काफी जब भी हम इंडिया पाकिस्तान की बात करते हैं, फिर जब भी कोई हाई प्रोफाइल मैचेस की बात करते हैं, देयर इज ऑलवेज एन इंडिविजुअल बैटल एज वेल. हम बात कर रहे हैं वेदर बाबर आजम विल लीड पाकिस्तान फ्रॉम द फ्रंट, विराट कोहली विल लीड पाकिस्तान फ्रॉम द फ्रंट. यहाँ पे रोहित शर्मा है, यहाँ पे इनके पास रिजवान है, फखर जमान है, उनके भी बैट्समैन अच्छे हैं. तो दो नंबर बैट्समैन है. टॉप 3 की अगर बात करें, those 3 have been in pretty good form. Maybe a lot of people who haven't followed Pakistan cricket, just for the uninitiated, उनके 3 टॉप 3 भी बहुत अच्छे फॉर्म में है. फखर जमान ने इनफैक्ट इंडिया के साथ भी काफी अच्छा परफॉर्म किया था 4 साल पहले. उनके बॉलर्स भी अच्छे हैं, स्पिनर्स. उसके बाद 2 दिग्गज खिलाड़ी हैं बीच में, वो ऑब्वियसली एक्सपीरियंस के तौर पे रखा गया है. बट व्हाट इज द बिगेस्ट राइवलरी इन दिस राइवलरी विद इन द राइवलरी दैट यू लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू? सौरभ,
अगर आप पर्सनल बैटल्स की बात करते हैं तो मेरे हिसाब से केएल राहुल वर्सेस शाहीन अफरीदी एंड जसप्रीत बुमराह वर्सेस फखर जमान, ये दोनों बैटल्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होने वाली हैं. बिकॉज फखर जमान जो नंबर 3 पर आके जिस तरह की बैटिंग उन्होंने पिछले 2 वन मैचेस में की, या पीएसएल में भी जिस स्ट्राइक रेट से वो बैटिंग कर रहे थे, वो एग्रेसर के तौर पे खेलते हैं. बाबर आजम का स्ट्राइक रेट बहुत अच्छा नहीं है, उनका एवरेज बहुत अच्छा है, वो रन बनाते हैं, लेकिन उनके रन जो होते हैं 120 115 के स्ट्राइक रेट से बनते हैं. रिजवान भी स्ट्रगल करते हैं. 1 डाउन पे आने के बाद फखर जमान को जल्दी आउट करना बहुत जरूरी होगा. और जहां तक हम सब जानते हैं, 2017 चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी में बुमराह ने एक नो बॉल करी थी, जिसकी वजह से फखर जमान को एक लाइफलाइन मिली थी. उन्होंने वो सेंचुरी मारी और पूरा मैच पलट गया वहीं से. दूसरी बात, शाहीन अफरीदी पावर प्ले में विकेट लेने में बहुत ज्यादा सफल रहे हैं. उनकी बॉलिंग हमेशा अच्छी रहती है पावर प्ले में. और हमारी तरफ से केएल राहुल ने जिस तरह की बैटिंग की है पहले 2 वार्म मैचेस में, या फिर आईपीएल में भी, वो पर्पल कैप, वो ऑरेंज कैप, वो लास्ट मैच फाइनल तक उनके पास है वो ऑरेंज कैप. वो ऋतुराज गायकवाड़ ने लास्ट मैच में फाइनल में उन्होंने स्कोर करके वो छीन लिया उनसे. तो ये केएल राहुल की बैटिंग, शाहीन अफरीदी की बॉलिंग, फखर जमान की बैटिंग और बुमराह की बॉलिंग, ये जो दो बैटल्स होने वाले हैं, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रहेंगे इंडिया पाकिस्तान दोनों के लिए.
बिल्कुल, दिस इज गोइंग टू बी एन इंटरेस्टिंग राइवलरी एज वेल, बिकॉज पाकिस्तान के साथ भी हम देखे फखर जमान, जसप्रीत बुमराह, बट उससे पहले 2 बड़े सॉलिड ओपनर्स हैं पाकिस्तान की, बाबर आजम, मोहम्मद रिजवान. उनको भी निकालना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होगा. अक्षय, that new ball spell from Bumrah, Shami probably over Shami or Kumar, whoever is playing between the two. Then there's Shardul Thakur as well. Then you could see some bit of Varun Chakravarti as well before the power play ends. That is going to be a very, very interesting combination, right? Because you're looking at, we don't know whether the toss has happened, we'll see whoever wants to bat or bowl. But that is going to be a really crucial play from the Indians when you look at how to contain those top three of the Pakistani batsmen.
Yeah. So Babar and Rizwan, they both are good players of spin, but I think India, if they are playing Varun Chakravarti, they should try and give him a couple of overs in the power play, because both Babar and Rizwan haven't played against Varun Chakravarti. They might have seen a lot of videos, they might have sat down and sat with the analyst and all that, but playing a mystery spinner has always proved to be tough. We have seen India struggle against Ajanta Mendes, Akila Dhananjaya in the past. So I think playing Varun Chakravarti will not be easy. And I think India should make use of that advantage early, because getting those three batsmen from at the top of Pakistan's batting order is going to be important. If any one of them get going, it's going to be trouble. But I think Bumrah, Varun Chakravarti, and Bhuvi, if he plays, are going to be crucial for India. And I would suggest that I think that India might use a couple of overs from Varun Chakravarti in the power play and see how he goes against these big guns of Pakistan.
Charya, this is one thing I always ask guests on the show before we wrap up, but that was for the IPL, so everybody had their own preferences, KKR, RCB, CSK, all different. But I'm sure that you'd be everybody's rooting for India on this show. It's all Indian comments, Indian journalists. I'm sure you're all rooting for India. But Saurabh, एक स्क्रिप्ट बताइए जो आपको लगे कि चलो ये होने वाला है, पाकिस्तान के साथ हम इनको शायद 70 पे ऑल आउट कर दें, उसके बाद 71 रन हम 10 ओवर में चेज डाउन कर ले 10 ओवर में. इस तरह का कोई स्क्रिप्ट कभी कभी दिमाग में आता है कि जब इंडिया पाकिस्तान से पहले क्या होने वाला है?
ऑब्वियसली एज एन इंडियन फैन, इंडियन जर्नलिस्ट, हम यही चाहते हैं कि इंडिया पूरी तरह डोमिनेट करे. और जैसा हिस्ट्री कहती है, इतिहास कहता है कि आखिरी के 3 जो मैचेस हमने T20 वर्ल्ड कप में पाकिस्तान से जीते हैं, वो बड़े अंतर जीते हैं, 7 विकेट जीते हैं, 6 विकेट जीते हैं, तो हमने हमसे डोमिनेट किया है. लेकिन आज जैसे दुबई की पिच रही है, उस पर मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि ये टाइट मैच होने वाला है. इसलिए बिकॉज पाकिस्तान की टीम के पास एक्चुअली में अगर आप देखें, होने के लिए बहुत कुछ है, लेकिन खोने के लिए कुछ नहीं भी है. इसलिए नहीं है क्योंकि उनके, जैसा कि शोएब अख्तर ने बोला है और पूरी पाकिस्तान की टीम में कहते हैं कि उनका मेन जो फोकस मैच होने वाला है, क्योंकि न्यूजीलैंड की टीम ने पुल आउट कर लिया था लास्ट मोमेंट पे, उनका सारा वो फोकस उस पर रहने वाला है. इसलिए मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि आज का मैच एक लास्ट ओवर तक मुझे लग रहा है थ्रिलर जाएगा किसी तरीके से. वो जाएगा, जरूर जाएगा. 130-140 के आसपास स्कोर बनेगा. पहले हमेशा की तरह पाकिस्तान पहले बैटिंग करेगी और इंडिया हम चेज कर जाएंगे, लेकिन वो मैच जाएगा जरूर आखिरी ओवर तक, मुझे ऐसा लगता है.
टाइट कॉन्टेस्ट भी मजेदार होते हैं अक्षय. I know,
Definitely.
I think all the games in the past, 2007 वाला जो T20 World Cup जो bowl out था ना, that has stuck in memory. I remember every bit of it. Obviously the others were special as well because India won. But
are you expecting another long night for us? Because I want a tight contest between India and Pakistan. There is so much hype, and I think both teams should go hard and should give it their best. And there should be a tight contest. And one more thing, this is Virat Kohli's last tournament as a T20 captain, and also Ravi Shastri's last tournament as India's head coach. And I think they deserve a good start, a special start to the campaign. So I would expect a close match, but I want India to edge past Pakistan and open their account in the T20 World Cup 2020.
Yeah, this goes without saying. Saurabh is also saying he also wants India, obviously India to win. Akshay is backing India to win, so am I. But the thing is, all of us are hoping for a bit of a close encounter, because you look back at the last 5 or 6 World Cup games between India and Pakistan. India have been comprehensive. They've taken the game away from Pakistan right at the offset. Pakistan have looked nervous. They have appeared nervous. They've made those blunders. We hope with the conditions. And a lot of experts have also said, remember, whoever plays the conditions better will end up winning tonight. It's always been that case, because you play in England, whether you're playing in Australia, whether you're playing in the Middle East, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, India, you play the conditions better and you're going to win. But of course, apart from the conditions, both teams have been used to these conditions. India have played the IPL here quite often. Pakistan, UAE has been their home base since 2009. So both teams are well aware of the conditions here. But it's also about dealing with pressure. Which team will feel the heat more than the other? We'll figure out all of that in a few hours from now. Saurabh Srivastav, Akshay, Ramesh, thank you so much for joining me on this broadcast. I'll come back with you, of course, at 7 p.m. for the toss updates, the teams, the playing 11s, and we'll figure out who is taking the park. And after that, once the game is done, once we have a victor, we'll come back again and figure out what went down at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium tonight. It's India versus Pakistan 1 hour away from now. 24 minutes from now, I'll come back to you, like I said, with the toss and the playing levels. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all your comments, and we'll see you back very soon. Please do subscribe to Sports Today in the meantime. Thank you.